Hello everyone. A very warm welcome to the webinar. I hope everyone's taking precautions to stay safe and managing through these uncertain times. So I'm Matini, the product marketer of SalesIQ, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. If you have any questions during the session, please save it for the end. And you can click on the raise hand option on the left pane of your window to ask us when we open for questions or drop it in the questions tab. Now, without further ado, let's get on with the agenda. So here's a quick look at today's agenda on how we will be taking the session forward. So we will be starting with a quick introduction on lead nurturing, followed by tips to add a human touch to it. There is no shortage of information in Google on the topic of lead nurturing. Just plug in the term and you'll find pages of tips and best practices for marketers to better understand the concept. While it's good to have such vast information about the topic, it can also become a little overwhelming to process everything and figure out what works best for your business. Today, I'm going to channelize the information you would need for a lead nurturing program, whether you're just starting to think about it or are looking for ways to enhance an existing one. So, starting with a typical definition, lead nurturing is the process of engaging prospective leads by listening to their needs and showing them how the product can address their concerns by giving them the right information at the right stage of the sales funnel. Okay, so that was a very typical definition. Let me break it down with an example. Consider a company gets the contact information of a potential client that they can use to initiate communication with. From here, the company starts the process of lead nurturing. It can be as simple as an occasional email letting them know about updates to the product, changes in pricing, and so on. Or it can also be more complex lead nurturing campaigns involving educating the client about the advantages of that product and designing personalized pitches to encourage the client to buy, regardless of their timing. Now that we've seen its definition, let's quickly move on to why lead nurturing is so important. To understand this better, let's look at some common situations buyers are put in the current times. How do we approach and address these concerns as a vendor? We will have to look at how consumers buy instead of how you sell. That's where lead nurturing comes in and plays a major role in building customer relationships. So is lead nurturing all about getting contacts? Definitely not. Even after getting good amount of leads, vendors face major concerns around converting them to customers. Let's discuss on problems that arise after getting contacts. Too many dormant leads in your database. Well, lead nurturing increases the propensity to buy by maintaining relationships with customers. These relationships are critical in today's sales cycles. And by nurturing leads, you maintain that relationship over time while building brand loyalty and trust. Too long a sales cycle. Today, buyers take more time than they did in the past, exploring options and educating themselves before making that purchase decision. It's completely expected that today's sales cycles will be longer, which is why it's so important to nurture leads. In doing so, you not only shorten your sales cycle, but you also convert more leads into buyers. So, not saying good engagement. When you have an effective lead nurturing program, you engage buyers. While nurturing the communication with your leads, you automatically demonstrate value in the content and knowledge you share, creating trust and impact. This is a common problem a lot of organizations face. We might somehow set up a nurture program, but how do we check the effectiveness of it? When you set up a lead nurturing program, set clear goals in place before you hope to see impact or measure it. Ask yourself how many leads you need to generate, what products you offer, and what audience you want to attract, and use that information as a jumping off point to gather relevant data. When it comes to SMEs and startups, setting up a manual program turns out to be expensive and time consuming. With marketing automation, you can easily navigate today's longer cycles, lead scoring, lead lifecycle management, personalization, and analytics. Now that we've discussed what lead nurturing is and its importance, let's quickly move on to adding the human touch. With all the concerns discussed above by both vendors and buyers, one thing is clear. Lead nurturing is more than just getting contacts and sending them emails. It is about building relationships. It involves identifying the right people, striking memorable conversations, and nurturing them irrespective of when they buy. Human touch lead nurturing is a one-to-one communication strategy that targets only a core group of pre-qualified decision makers and not an entire marketing database. It involves combining well-timed phone calls, relevant one-to-one emails, and marketing content based on what they've already shared as important to them. More importantly, it is about engaging in a real-time human-to-human dialogue exchange in order to move them towards sales readiness. I think that is quite enough amount of theoretical explanation one can consume. Let's move on to a conceptual use case, Zylker Realtors, and find out how they introduced the human element to their lead nurturing process. Let me give you a quick introduction about Zylker Realtors. They are a real estate firm in the industry committed to providing real estate services to investors. Being in the real estate industry, it is very important to form genuine, trusting relationships with clients and reassuring them that the person helping them find or buy a home is not only qualified but also cares about them. Currently, Zylker has an automated lead nurturing program in place. As we discussed above, it indeed is an effective way to bring prospective leads to your website. They have been following it quite diligently with repetitive marketing tasks like emails, website actions, social media, etc. And sure, this strategy is bringing them a lot of visitors. Then what's the problem that they're facing? Although they have an active lead nurturing plan in place, the conversion is meager. Irrespective of the industry, this is a fairly common problem a lot of businesses face today. So what is Zylker missing out on? Sure, on the one hand, Zylker is not making any sales, but users actually care enough about the brand or the marketing to visit their website. That's huge. But yes, they still need to turn some of that traffic into sales. Let's get there. The main missing piece in the puzzle is the human touch we have been discussing about. Lead generation and lead nurturing is more of a conversation. The main thumb rule here is companies don't buy, people inside companies do. It is more about starting the dialogue with the right people within the right companies to find more immediate opportunities. The human touch to lead nurturing keeps the conversation going with relevant and meaningful personal touches, regardless of their timing to buy. Now, with the problem figured out, let's help Zylker bridge their existing marketing strategy with some relationship building techniques and help increase conversion. To get into each of the marketing tools and address how we can give them the human touch, this is where we begin with. No matter the marketing tool, user consent is and will be the key to building trust online. I say this because data privacy is becoming a metric for brand reputation itself. Say if user data is tracked without consent, it leads to risk in brand reputation, like getting fined, and it can reach the public space very quickly and harm the trust built between you and your users. According to a report by SAB Hybris, 80% of users quit a brand because they were using their data without taking their consent. And consent is not just a consumer's demand, but also the golden standard for a lot of data protection laws like GDPR that mandates processors to get the end user's consent before collection of their personal data. So the first rule in building a good relationship with your customers is being compliant with the data protection laws like GDPR. This can help us believe in our own marketing efforts more responsibly and securely. Also, we can focus on building new marketing strategies without worrying much about the data security challenges. With the consent from users taken, let's move on to the actual marketing tools. How you sell me is how you will serve me. Yes, that's the mentality of today's economic buyers. Live chat is usually the first touch point for a visitor. With chatbots on widespread use by enterprises, Zylker had also adopted this. Now let's see how we can induce the human touch to the chatbots. Although they had achieved an automation level of 90%, they missed to see that there was still that 10% the bot was unable to complete a task satisfactorily. This means that there are cases where human intervention cannot be avoided. Indeed, in some cases, it is desirable. This calls for a conversational AI solution that allows human agents to intervene over live chat when necessary. Loyalty can't be bought with paid campaigns and catchy copies. It takes a lot more. A human touch is one of the key ingredients. Social media has become an intimate part of people's lives, and existing just as a brand busy selling its product doesn't make you memorable. People relate more to people over inanimate objects or projects. With an exponential rise in brands using social media as a customer engagement tool, it is imperative to create a sense of exclusivity, involvement, and ownership among your community members. For example, in Zylker's case, they can publish a healthy mix of original, specialized content that appeals to the needs of their buyer personas, as well as general industry news related to the real estate industry and human interest posts. More importantly, they can set aside a small amount of time each day to check their social media accounts and engage with the people who are reaching out. It may take only a few minutes to favorite someone's tweet or respond to a question or comment on Facebook or LinkedIn, but the impact is much larger than that. Videos tend to engage users in more influential ways than most other forms of communication. For example, watching a video delivers substantially more information in less time than reading or listening about an act or experience. One of the problems we discussed earlier was buyers ignoring or missing calls or emails. With videos, that is resolved. They are almost impossible for users to ignore. Additionally, after they watch them, they usually shared with others. Videos create increased sensory engagement and emotional connection, creating empathy. For example, seeing the emotions and expressions on someone's face gives viewers a sense of familiarity and trust and creates a vision of them owning whatever they're watching. Further, identifying with the problems a product can resolve will show a company not just trying to make money, but more like a company trying to help them get what they need to make their lives better. Once the human touch has worked its magic, an increased response rate to a company's marketing efforts usually results. How do we add some humanity in the inbox? We often have subject lines that are predetermined to get open, personalization that isn't really personalized, like it's usually, hey there, with the first name. One of the oversights here is brands tend to talk about themselves and what they need instead of providing valuable content for their customers. Email marketing is such a privilege. It is a one-to-one opportunity to connect with your subscribers and they're allowing you into their inbox. We should be tapping that right. For example, in Zylker's case, some of their recipients clicked on a link that shows them ways to better take care of duplexes, but some didn't. This was unnoticed. Personalization steps in when we, based on this feedback, automatically send the former group more emails that cover topics specific to people who own duplexes and not send these emails to the group that showed no interest. Also, ensuring the tone of the email is always supportive, sympathetic, and understanding is critical. As important as personalization is segmentation. In the same example quoted above, it is essential to send each group dedicated emails rather than sending them all of them the same email content. I don't think any of you would object to this. We need to adapt to changing times in order to stay in place. Consumers are no longer interested in being advertised to form a pedestal. They want brands to get down from their high horses and talk to them. Talk to them in a way that is convenient for them and not the brands. As much as these traditional marketing efforts work, instant messaging applications have also become an increasingly easier platform for businesses to interact with their customers in an official capacity. Today, users are more comfortable using these messaging platforms to receive customer service, get notified about offers, browse the product catalog, receive invoices, make purchases, and more. The major reason for these platforms to kick off is their instant availability for consumers. But it is not humanly possible for the support and sales team to stay available round the clock. So who can be available 24/7? Of course, yes, chatbots. And with these business messaging platforms supporting the advancement of chatbots and integrating with a number of affordable bot building tools, it is evident that they are only going to continue to grow in the foreseeable future. So it is not just enough to have a website, collect email addresses, or make cold phone calls. You need to take the conversation where consumers feel at home and hang out the most. That was about some of the marketing tools that could be elevated with a human touch. Before wrapping up, let's look at the way forward for providing the right digital experience. In the digital era, it is easy to get caught up in trends and statistics and forget about the human element of business. Businesses need to understand that digital experience isn't the only thing that consumers want. There's greater value in a personal touch and real world experiences. Consumers want to feel like they're an important part of your business and that they've made a good choice in picking you over your competitors. It is important to connect with consumers on a personal level and no longer just offer them the cheapest prices. Cultivating a personal touch isn't just for tech giants or SMBs like Zylker Realtors. It's for every business in between, no matter the industry or niche. That was about some tips on adding the human touch to lead nurturing. If you think you need a helping hand in automating your lead nurturing process with the human touch, look no further. Zoho SalesIQ is an all-in-one customer engagement platform that helps precision down all your visitors into relevant groups of prospective leads. The comprehension solution not just automates your marketing strategies, but also adds a little human touch with our conversational AI chatbots and answer bots. Through this communication of educating and creating perception, your qualified leads can slowly become your long-lasting customers. As I had mentioned earlier, everyone wants communication on the go. Sales IQ has intuitive mobile apps to keep you updated wherever you are and an exclusive mobile SDK, Mobilism, that makes it incredibly easy to implement in-app messaging inside your Android iOS apps or apps built using React Native. Give it a try today. Schedule a personalized demo with us or sign up for a free 15-day trial to know it for yourself. Hope you found the webinar informative and interesting. The session is now open for questions. You can also share any other tips that have worked for you with the entire group. Thank you.